Good evening, folks. Here's Sunday night. It's been a long weekend of professional wrestling, which Monty and I have definitely watched all of as we do this podcast. It's actually seriously though. This is one of those weekends where, like, when I looked here from a long way away, I was like, "Okay, that's Dominion weekend." And then when it got here, I realized there was like matches individually that I wanted to see from like 4 or 5 different shows. So there was much wrestling. We'll talk about some of it. Monty, how are you tonight, pal?
Not bad, not bad. How are you, Mr. Hulbert?
Well, I was a little bit late, as you know. I'm sure that will show on my check at the end of the month, but I'm good. I've just learned of the Bright Lights machine gun, which is a new piece of wrestling lore, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I'm good, man. I mean, as you know, I'm going on vacation here very shortly in a couple of days. But I thought it makes sense. You and I, we want this to be kind of a, there's many podcasts on this channel if people haven't realised by now. Many different guests and personalities and takes and tastemakers, so on and so forth. But we see this Sunday night slot as us just sort of talking, right? I mean, as opposed to the usual shows where we do tricks and stuff.
Basically, tricks. Trying to follow formats and trying to be professionals. This is where we drop the shit.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about Dominion. Let's just get in that. Interesting show. Certainly, I would say a good show. Not a blowaway show, Monty, right? I mean, as you know, I'm a little bit.
It didn't feel like one of those big, moment of the year. New Japan pay-per-views. What Dominion, kind of usually is. So
it's their second biggest show, right? Like, I mean, well, G1's its own monster, but if you were just talking like single shows, in theory, it's Wrestle Kingdom, and I mean, Wrestle Kingdom's not a single show anymore either, but
yeah, well,
you get what you get. It was interesting. I think I will say, I think people wanted a certain degree of news, noteworthy stuff on a AEW side, which I don't think you really got.
Just what you expected, pretty much.
I mean, let's get into
that. Other than the main event, which I think some people got surprised about. But I think the only reason why people got so surprised, obviously we'll get into it. Well, we might as well just get into it.
Let's just talk. You're going to
so obviously Jay White defeated Okada for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship earlier.
Yeah.
And I guess if Forbidden Door wasn't coming up, it would be a lot less of a surprise because the way that they the way that they done all the Bullet Club stuff on the anniversary and they just kind of completely took over that pay-per-view and the way they brought Jay White back in, it kind of did feel like there was a good chance that he could drop the belt. And then you remembered Forbidden Door was coming up and you thought, maybe New Japan might want to keep the belt on Okada for that show. And obviously it seems like they've more, stuck to what you could have assumed anyway, because obviously we don't know what they were going to do anyway. So
I think, and we'll get into his victory here shortly, but I think Carl Anderson's win was a big tip-off about the main event. Like when Carl won, I kind of went, they're going all the way with this Bullet Club thing, because I didn't think Carl was going to win, and that kind of
in my feel like he should have.
Well, I mean,
as a Carl Anderson fan,
I'm
not going to really complain about it, to be honest.
I think that you can argue there's a story to tell there, and we'll get into that shortly. But that felt like a clue. Jay White winning the main event. Let's talk about the match itself. Let's start there. You and I were just talking a little bit in our famed WrestlePurists group chat. It's obviously a really good match, 4-star and change range. Like, I don't know if it's, I personally would probably say, and we do our ratings at 4.25 range would probably be where I'm looking. Am I wrong in saying this? Even though it was a long match and an epic by length, it didn't feel like they were trying to have
It felt like it was all about Jay White. Like
all about Jay White.
Yeah. Completely. Like you can't really, Okada just, it wasn't like you said. It's not like they were going for your classic Okada title defense main event 40 minutes. Like it did go over 30 minutes. I think it went 35, 36 minutes. But yeah, it just felt more like a statement match of Jay White is back. He's back. Bullet Club is back. This is it. Much like the last pay-per-view did, to be honest. But even this is, really driving it home because the belt is now on Jay White, of course, and what that means for Forbidden Door, I do not know.
Right.
I appreciate many people's concerns.
It's
But
interesting, man.
it's very interesting.
I mean,
I like being interested when it comes to my wrestling.
they
So I'll see what I'm I'm
the
gonna see
way
what
they work
happens.
the match, and this is like the really nerdy thing to say, but I think you'll know what I mean. Jay took so much of the match that in my mind when I was watching it, it felt more obvious Okada was going to win because I was like, oh man, like their way of making up the difference is you give Jay so much of the match
Yeah,
that he looks great in defeat, and like I will say, it's about New Japan house style and structure and formula. I love the way the finish came off, bro. Like they went into their sequence and he just hit his finish, and you could tell
yeah.
by the crowd actually realized, like as much as it was shocking, you could tell the crowd was like, "This is it." Like honestly, there is no now in an ideal world. I will say, like I do think they could have sprinkled some like a few more hope spots for Okada along the way because like,
Yeah.
bro, it was like 25 minutes of just control.
Yeah, Jay, like you said, Jay took most of the match. When Okada built his classic closing stretch, where you thought, oh,
Yeah,
there might be a little something going on here. Then Jay just won.
yeah, boom, it's over.
But Jay went through his finish a few times, and the crowd gasped every single time. So it just
Yeah.
proves how over his finishes. And when he finally hit it, like you said, they knew
Mm-hmm.
it was over. So yeah, I like finishes like that, to be honest. Those like sudden ones, because when you watch real fighting,
Yeah,
it happens.
yeah.
Obviously not a wrestling move doing it, but
But the equivalent, yeah,
yeah.
the equivalent.
I mean, like you hit
I'm with you.
someone hits the best move, the same like the finisher, the same way someone might hit the best punch or kick or whatever it is, submission, whatever. So
He's
those sudden finishes do happen. So
Jay White's really special, right? I mean,
yeah,
and I know that sounds like oh duh, you catch up on 2019 or whatever, but like seriously, man, like this guy is that phrase he's using to describe himself of the best asset in wrestling or the most important asset in wrestling, like he may be that. He may be the finest asset in the industry. I think he's the best heel in wrestling by distance. I actually don't think it's close, honestly. And I
still
know
on the
this.
right side of 30 as well.
He's young. He's a great promo.
Freak.
He's just. It's the only word I keep coming back. He's special. And even though you and I said this wasn't like the great. This wasn't this wasn't a top 20 Okada match, right? Wasn't a top 5 Jay White match. But it was arguably, I think, the finest performance of Jay White's career in that he literally had to take 25 minutes of this match in control with a crowd that couldn't chant, couldn't really get behind Okada.
And he used it.
He weaponized it, right? He weaponized it. And he was like daring the crowd. He was like, stand for something. Say his name. Stand. At one point he said, stop being cowards. And it was like, I was just in awe of his control. There was a great moment in the middle where it was pretty late in. You know, when he started work, he did the dragon screw, the one that Tanahashi does, the really weird one on the floor, and then he put the submission on. And he stared Tanahashi down, and it was like a cinematic moment. It was like it was out of a movie. And not in a phony or corny way. Like, he's that dude, man. He's
dialed in, man, and he has his real veteran-like performances, and you remember that he's still, like I just said, on the right side of 30, and it's hard to make sense of it. It's like I feel like he's done something pretty similar in the Ibushi loss at Wrestle Kingdom. That was like an incredible heel performance on his part. Yeah, man, he's just special. He just is. I don't get how he's really one of those talents. I don't get how anyone could not see it in him. To be honest, I think he could work anywhere, literally anywhere. Obviously, he's doing it in Japan right now. It's pretty obvious he'd be a hit in the US because he feels like he should be in the US, but he's in New Japan, and he's like, they're world champions, so why would he come over?
That's the weirdest thing about it.
That'll be interesting. When we finally find out a date for his contract to comes up, because the word is that he signed a long-term deal with them, and we've never really got a report on an exact date, I don't think. So when that date does eventually get out there, if it does, we could just all of a sudden be a free agent tomorrow. You never know. It'll be really interesting to see what happens, really, because what will he want to do? Because, like I said, he's definitely a top, that he's seen as a top guy.
Yeah.
Look how he just beat Okada. If you need any example,
Yeah. Well,
um,
there was talk about like 6-7 year contracts, right? There was
yeah,
like that was a thing. Right? So
yeah,
if you imagined he was there for like another 2 years. Now, to be very clear, folks, I'm not trying to run Jay White out of New Japan. Obviously, anyone that's watched my he do what he wants to do. It is fair to say though that if he's there for another like 2-3 years on this deal, it would be very like kind of understandable if at the end of that cycle he was like, okay, I'm ready to not do these tours because it's a grind, right? Like
it's
I don't know,
real. It's real.
he's kind of a different cat. If you like listen to him talk about wrestling, he doesn't look at it the way a lot of do. But I could see him being kind of ready to do something different. I've said to you before, and it sounds insane because the dude's like, as you say, he's a tippy top guy there. He genuinely feels like he would be better suited in some ways to US wrestling.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why it's weird. Like when you're watching him, and he's doing his stuff, and even in ring, like you think maybe he'd be better suited over here, over in the US, and
yeah.
then you realise, like, oh, he's just won the world title. So what it's
It's really interesting, man. And,
yeah.
I get why people are scared, right? Like, if you're a Jay White fan, I get why you don't want him being WWE necessarily because, like, he has such a cool characterization. You don't want to get fucked with, basically. And AEW for that matter. You just want him to be King Switch, right? But, like, if you could imagine a US promotion, whatever this is for you folks, if you could imagine your ideal US promotion, I'm pretty sure you can see what we mean by, like, it kind of feels like Jay White is the exact top guy you would want for that promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you want like character heavy, he can clearly do that. Like clearly. And if you want, the star ratings, like dude's tremendous in that regard. So I'm blown away by him. Like, I mean, look, this is a lazy comparison and it's an easy comparison. MJF's great. You and I have talked about him on every podcast we've ever done. He's great. He ain't Jay White, brother. He ain't Jay White. I mean, that MVP, MJF
he's not as compelling.
No, and he's more performative, right? He's
Yeah,
more like
definitely.
showing.
Funnily enough, I was trying to explain this to my girlfriend because I was telling her about Jay White match that I was, rudely watching while she was here.
Yeah.
Because she's seen MJF and she likes him. I was like, he's kind of like, I kind of made the MJF comparison, but I was like, but he's a bit less corny. He's a lot less corny and he's a lot more like villainy. Do you know what I mean? And he's just, it's a weird comparison, isn't it? Because MJF,
they're different. Yeah, they're different.
Because MJF, you kind of always knew he was going to be where he kind of is now. Well, not necessarily right now because because of news, but you kind of always knew he was going to be that kind of star. Whereas Jay White, I don't really know where his ceiling is. And he's definitely a top guy anywhere he goes, potentially. But it's like, how? Like, how high are we talking? Like,
I think he could be a
like,
megastar. I think he could be a megastar.
This is what I'm saying. So,
no,
'cause he's definitely a top guy anywhere he walks in. But how he could genuinely be, like, he could blow up differently.
What makes Jay White such an interesting heel is I'm not here to tell you it's like this state of the like he's just revolutionized healing because like it's simple stuff, right? But
Yeah,
so many heels now work in a way where they're almost asking the smart fans to go, "Oh man, look at that! Look how good this guy is as a heel. He just called that fella fat in the crowd." I mean, that's what he is. It's very simple art form. But Jay White has these subtleties that actually make him seem like he's like a sociopath, like he's an absolute monster. Like the Tanahashi one's a perfect example. Like, and this is where New Japan's camera work is on a different level. Actual New Japan, not strong or whatever. Because when he did that Tanahashi spot, they took like a close up, but not too close that it was phony. But they took a nice shot of Jay's facials, and he wasn't mean mugging Tanahashi. He was just looking at him. Like, you remember this, right?
Yeah.
And then he started talking trash. But there's just, oh man, there's some details there that are just special. The dude's incredible. Seriously.
Yeah, so the subtleness that you alluded to, it's that's what it is with him. I think it's the little things. It's not too in your face. He's just like I find him really believable.
Yeah.
Whereas
natural.
going to go back to the MJF comparison, MJF feels like, it's an act, but it's a very good act. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a very well put together good act that he's very committed to. But Jay White feels, it kind of feels, like him. He's like he's lost it.
Yeah, he seems like he seems like an insane guy he's got a plan. Like there's a method to his madness, but he's a monster. Like a true, like when he does, you know what he's really good. You know when they do angles where like the Bullet Club guys switch, or like when he turned on Tama and Tanga and he was like a mob boss in that scene. Like it was like what he had just done was so awful. Like he just thrown original member out of the group just because. But he was like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like points to his head once. It's like, fuck man, dude. Jamie said evil genius. I mean, he's just I don't know, man. We're both kind of struggling to like capture it. If you've seen it, you know exactly what we're talking about. But
Definitely.
he's one of the most remarkable talents in the whole industry. I think him winning is objectively the more interesting way to go. And Okada's the guy, right? What's left to say about Okada? But let's see how this goes. Now let's talk Forbidden Door. Are we going to get like the All-Star tag with Hangman and Okada teaming up against Jay and Cole? Are we going to get Jay and Hangman and Cole and Okada? Like, what are we getting here? What do you think?
I don't know. No, honestly, I have no idea. Like, I'm very interested to see how it goes now and how it plays out. Mm-hmm. But I have no idea what they're gonna do now. Yeah. Who's Jay White gonna wrestle? Like, is he just gonna wrestle Hangman, or is it gonna be the tag match? What you said? Is it gonna be?
Is it a fatal 4-way?
Is it gonna be a triple threat fatal 4-way?
What do you want it to be? None of those options pop you that much, do they?
I'm just trying to think of
Monty's actual answer, guys, is that he thinks that Brian Cage should wrestle Jay White.
I do think Hangman versus Jay White could be very, very, especially with the way Jay White went for took shots at Hangman after the match earlier, which we didn't talk about actually. Jay White does this thing where he just scores a hat trick. Like he'll have a great match, then he'll do the in-ring after the match promo to close the show to the live crowd, then he'll go backstage and have another killer promo. Like
crazy.
1, 2, 3. Guy's crazy. He's built different. He's whatever you want to call it.
Generational. Brother. Generational. By the way, how cool was the thing he did where after spending the whole match daring them to cheer for Okada, he like forced them to cheer him and like sparked in it. Like, I was right. Yeah, that was awesome. I think I'll just say this: like, get ready for it. Like, I'm not saying it will be a tag match, but like, get used to that being a thing they could do. Because I 100% think that's in like the New Japan playbook to do the big all-star tag of Hangman and Okada teaming up against Jay and Cole. Now, do I think that's what they should do at the United Center for a Forbidden Door pay-per-view? No. I think it's very possible, though. I do. So I'd say get ready for that to be a thing. My guess is they're going to do a fatal 4-way, which I am not too pleased about.
They won't do 2 fatal 4-ways.
Well, there's a lot of political maneuvering. So, like, this is what I was getting into this a minute ago on the grid, right?
I can't do 2. I hate fatal 4-ways.
I'm with you.
Honestly.
I'm just trying to, because, like FTR got jumped by Cobb and O'Khan. And I said to you at the time, I said, why did they leave Roppongi Vice in there? Like, the obvious way to do that was FTR wins and then they hit the ring and put the boots to them, right? But they left Roppongi Vice in there. Then on Friday, Trent got a pin. And then tonight, or this morning, Rocky came out after the tag title and got beat up again. It's like, I think they're going to do a triple threat tag just so Roppongi Vice is the team that can get pinned, because Rocky obviously, he don't care about getting pinned. He's office. Yeah. I think this is going to happen a lot, bro. I think there's a lot of political maneuvering. I really do. I'm convinced.
I guess it sounds simple at first, but when you actually try to break it down and book the matches, it's kind of, I guess, I get it in that sense. But we just when it comes to the singles matches, anyway, just keep them as singles, not triple threats, 4-ways and stuff. But when it, I don't hate triple threat tags as much as I hate multi-man
That's fair.
singles.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to have a Okada singles match, man.
But here's the thing:
We
if
are
you
getting
do,
Tanahashi. We are getting Tanahashi versus Mox. So I've got my 7-star rating ready for that. So
problem with that is this is I love Tanahashi and Moxley. I mean, they're two of my favorite guys ever. The one thing I'll say about that match compared to Punk Tanahashi is it doesn't have like the video game-esque spectacle element. Like, because we've known for years we're going to get Moxley and Tanahashi, it's awesome. But you got to admit, there was something really fucking weird about
yeah,
Punk
but it
Tanahashi.
really drove home the forbidden door aspect of
Exactly.
it.
Yeah. Which is,
CM Punk versus Tanahashi. What the fuck?
and that's
You
no
know what I mean?
one's fault, right? That just got lost to circumstance. But that is a shame. I think the problem I have, the one that a lot of people are saying is Hangman and Wyatt, which unbelievable, and then Okada and Cole, which is fine. But the problem with that is you've kind of teased to the people like Hangman said Okada. So
I
it
know, but
feels to me like, would you do that if they're not going to be in the same match?
when it comes to things like that, I don't know if I'm gonna get abuse in the chat for this, but AEW
Hope
don't
not.
really when it comes to stuff like that, do you think AEW are really checking those finer details? I don't know, man.
Yeah. I know, I get you.
They do some things where it's really loose and it's just like, well, called out Hangman and this is what we called out Okada and this is what he got and that's the story.
Yeah.
Live with it. But I have no idea where it's gonna go. Like Hangman Okada obviously would have been amazing. We could potentially still get that. We could get a number of matches out of this situation now. Who Jay White faces, I think, is very interesting. So it's like him as well. It's like you want him in these big singles matches where it's like I don't know if intimate's the right word, but where you can really like dial in and just be a piece of shit to someone. When
No,
you're
I'm
doing
with you.
like a 4-way, it's like how do you pull that off as well? And you just basically they're probably just gonna have I don't know, man.
I think the biggest problem, this is my biggest problem with 4-ways and 3-ways with this level of talent is they are by nature formulaic in a way that kind of dilutes how good the talent is. Because ultimately at this point, we've all seen enough multi-mans for a lifetime that you're plugging guys into the same system over and over again. Let's be honest about it. That's what it is, right? And let's be completely transparent. We're 2 weeks away. If in 2 weeks we're on here before they do a fatal 4-way with those 4 guys, I want to make it very clear that match is going to be great.
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah.
But what I think we're both kind of getting at is those matches are cookie cutter in a way that you don't want with this level of talent. Just give me the guys, give me a singles match and give me them at their absolute maximum, rather than them doing their version of the match that we've seen everyone else do at this point, which is the modern multi-man where guys come in and out, and that's just I think kind of the
hate the in and out shit order. I really hate it. Like it really, it really burns me. Like because you're watching it, and it's like where they gone. And they're just chilling on the floor, and it's like they're just selling, even though all they did was literally get thrown out the ring or something.
I know. Made you very mad on Monday.
Sometimes.
Didn't it? It made you very mad on Monday night. He was lashing out.
Because everyone was like, oh, that was a great triple threat. I was like, it was barely a triple threat. Like, it was barely like... That's just how they do. Fatal 4-way, whatever. Yeah. This is what I mean. I barely remember because all it genuinely was just a bunch of singles knitted together.
They did this fascinating thing in that one where, and I've never seen them do this before. But like they were doing a fatal. We're talking about Raw now. Sorry, we're talking Raw. Hang on. I'm gonna. We'll get back. But so they're doing this fatal 4-way, and they're doing what you talk about, people rolling out. But I've never seen. They did like 6 minutes of heat. Do you remember this like middle part of the match where Rhea was just getting heat on Alexa like it was a one-on-one match, and I was like, where?
Yeah, I think they're just I think they were just doing that to really like drive home this Rhea stuff.
Yeah, and I guess like Alexa and I guess
Alexa
Liv.
It's a weird spot to do it in.
It was strange. Anyway, hopefully Forbidden Door looks good. I'll be totally honest with you. I have no doubt the show will be great. I have some concerns about kind of the stature of the event. I want it to feel truly special and in a way that I'm a little bit alarmed about 2 weeks out. I'm just going to be totally real. Again, I know the matches will be really good. There's great talent. But we have got 2 weeks, and I think hopefully Wednesday will help a lot. I think it will. I think we're going to get some heavy hitters on Wednesday, but man, you want it to feel big, right? You want it to feel epic.
Hopefully. I mean, Wednesday, I think will definitely be a big episode for it. It kind of has to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, us grumpy Brits will have plenty to moan about on our podcast.
Factual.
So, yeah, I think this week will be a big week. Hopefully, we get a really big name again, like how we got with Tanahashi, confronting Punk, confronting whatever you want to call it, standing at the top of the ramp and giving him a mean stare. Whatever they're doing, man, just let's cut the shit with the David Finleys and stuff of the world, and let's get no offense to him, he's a fine wrestler, but you know, we had comments on one of our YouTube videos like outside of Tanahashi, Okada. I don't know who any of these New Japan guys are, and they're not described very well to me either. So here's David Finlay, the son of Fit Finlay. He's in New Japan. How many times did you watch? I think there was like a road to that Dynamite as well. Like just a short one or something. But I remember seeing anyway like a video package about the match, and he's like, oh, son of Fit Finlay. Okay.
Like to be clear, Fit Finley's a legend, but like he ain't
love him, but
he's not like famous enough to do that, right? Like, so yeah, I think it'll be interesting. My pitch for Wednesday would be, I thought about this a lot. I think Jay White should come out, and like it will get a reaction. And then as soon as you get into the segment, you do the coin drop and the Okada. Because people have seen Jay White on AEW, right? So like you're double dipping, but you're not killing Jay White's debut. He's been there, he's wrestled there. So I would do something like that and have some fun with it. And if you did
I
those
hope they
two,
get the entrances. I hope they get the entrances right when they do introduce these people, because I feel like they missed quite. I feel like the Will Ospreay thing was me. Like even the way that he actually came out, like they just hit his music and he walked out. Like they could have the lighting could have been a bit different. Do you know what I mean? And just stuff like that when he's about to come out and make it feel like it's not just one of the 7 run-ins that they do on the shows. I'm lashing out a bit, but
I'm a little bit torn in that. Like I don't want to do like crowd run-ins, but I also there's something weird about the guys just like coming out of the just coming out like you said everyone else, but what you know FTR did the thing where they go, you know, let's have a fight basically. They obviously wasn't aware who was there, who wasn't. They called them out. And like Ospreay came out with a whole Tron and stuff, but then his guys came from behind, and it's like, well, where couldn't they have just all come from behind at that point or something? Like I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could have done a deal where like the heels put the boots to them first, and then they like pointed to the ramp, and fucking Ospreay's thing came up, and it was like a big. I don't know. Something that didn't feel was like manufactured. That's the one thing I find they struggle with that a lot. But hopefully Wednesday works, and you know, let's talk about G1. That was the other big headline from this show, right? The G1 announcement.
I need to get the list up.
I kind of felt like an asshole when it concluded because I don't know, man. Like, I'm really happy for Lance Archer, but I can't tell you that it like really popped me. I mean,
so you're trying to tell me that you're not absolutely ecstatic that Jonah is in the G1?
That's exactly
is that what you're telling me?
I'll be honest. I said this on
I just think you're a big fat fucking hater, to be honest, bro.
That's fair, but there was a moment in that G1 rundown where they did like Yujiro. Huh?
Aaron Tara is in it.
Yes. Dude, there was a stretch where they announced Farley, Chase Owens, and Yujiro, like one after the other, and I was like,
wow. This is weird.
Are you aware of how this works?
Okay,
you seem like you've never seen this.
Okay, I haven't seen the full list. I knew Tom Lawler was. I knew Tom Lawler was in it. I knew Jonah was in it. I didn't. Wow. So it's Okada, Tamatonga, Tanahashi, Tom Lawler, Jonah, Yoshihashi, Goto, Yano, Ishii, Cobb, Okan, Ospreay, Hanare, Shingo, Sanada, and Naito. So Jay White's not in it, which is you know.
Wait, Jay White's in it. Jay White's in it.
Did I?
He is. He must not be. He must have just been. I'm almost convinced.
Am I looking at the wrong?
I don't know. There's 28 names, Monty. I don't know.
Okay, no, I've just read that sort of just one block. Oh, thank God. I was going to say, though, there must be.
There's 4 blocks, isn't there?
What are you doing to me right now?
There's 28 names this year. I think it's 4 sevens.
Okay. Let me get to the real website. I was on a clown website that will definitely pop you
Alright,
if I
take
revealed
it.
it live right now. So let's get to a real website like Wrestling Observer, Figure 4 Online. Okay, Okada, Tanahashi, Naito, Goto, Tamatonga, Shingo, Chase Owens, Bad Luck Fale, Yujiro, Evil, Tom Lawler, Juice, Jonah, Yoshihashi, Yano, Ishii, Cobb, Okan, Ospreay, Hanare, Sanada, Jay White, Kenta, El Phantasmo, Taichi, ZSJ, Archer, David Finley. Oh.
I just saw the fucking Carl Anderson bright lights thing. There's a video of it, Monty. It's a real quote. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, there's a lot of bad wrestlers in that line. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say it, guys. It is what it is. You get what you get. You know, Lance Archer's not one of them. He's very good, but it's not the problem
Tom
with
Lawler
Lance
pops
Archer.
me. I'll be
Fine.
honest, it did
He's
pop
good.
me.
Jonah's okay. The problem with Lance Archer is he was only just there, 3 years ago? And none of the field has changed.
Well,
right? It's the same guys. I mean, I'm happy for Lance. He got a great reaction, but it just isn't very. It's just very familiar.
Archer's last G1 was quite impressive, to be honest.
Big for his career, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just let's just be real. There's I'm gonna count them. I won't name them, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
You getting bad
6, 7, 8. 8 people in this that did not pop me one bit. And that's not even including Jonah. I think Jonah might unironically actually,
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? He could be awful. He could have a great run.
He'll probably go over. He'll probably go over. I think he'll do okay. Yeah, so that was Fale, Takahashi, Chase Owens. Trying to figure who you just named. I'm intrigued by it. Aaron Hanare. Yeah, it's difficult. And it's the G1, right? Fuck it. It's the G1. There'll be some great matches.
Yeah, we've got Shingo's in it, so that means we're getting however many Shingo matches at minimum, or whatever. And when Shingo's in G1 season, he's a fucking animal, so... and obviously there's Okada, Tana, all the,
It does feel... And look, guys, I'm not clued into New Japan. I once was. I've really fallen off in my view, and I have to admit the clap crowds is a big part of that. But I do have to say, there is a real sense of stagnancy in terms of the guys, hopefully a couple of the guys, hopefully, look, as much as we joke, hopefully fucking Jonah gets over, just so there's some different flavor on these. I mean, I have to be transparent. I knew Fale and Chase Owens were tag team champs.
Said hopefully Jonah gets over.
Bro, listen to me, right? I knew Fale and Chase Owens were tag champs. Seeing that in action that's not right. That shouldn't be allowed,
I was when I was watching that, one thing you don't want to be when you're watching a wrestling match is worried, and that was one of the emotions that came to me, if that's the right word, emotion. But that's one of the things that came to mind for me when I was watching that match earlier. Yeah,
someone's got to stop
it. Was I know the one it was they literally did only put the belts on them to really drive on the Bullet Club stuff on that pay-per-view, but.
You gotta have some respect,
yeah, fucking hell.
Come on now, it was outrageous. When you're what that product can be, which is you're the this premium wrestling in ring, you can't put that out there as your tag. I'm sorry, it can't happen. And it's just it's just stagnant. Listen, all of that. Let's be very clear. The top guys in New Japan are some of the greatest wrestlers in the world. Some of them are a few of them are some of the greatest wrestlers ever. But I have to say, and I mean it with love, when they flash the names up for the G1, it is hard not to slightly go, oh fuck, here we go again, And they're going to be great matches, but it's just this is that core. Other than a couple guys that core is unchanged for so long now.
Well, they just haven't adjusted very well to the Omegas of the world, even. So
I guess
it's bro. They put the double belts on Evil at one point.
That was when I stopped.
I guess that was like the lowest of the recent.
Yeah, that's when I stopped. Yeah,
I guess what you want to call it.
I couldn't do that.
That was.
I couldn't do it, man.
I know that's what makes me feel. I remember a few of us who really want New Japan to be like great. Like when they put the belt back on Okada, it's like back. It was. Yeah. I know obviously it weren't from Evil to Okada, but just like I don't know, man. Like all that whole total scene was such a mess up until obviously until they wrapped it up and put it back on Okada, and COVID and all these other things happened, and I guess it is what it is. But
that's where it's hard.
It just needs freshening, like you said. It just needs kind of like a fresh. It needs a new fresh feel. It needs, fucking.
It's hard though. What could you really exactly do? And this is the thing: is like it's all well and good. Like we both, are freshen up the top guys, but it's like, who are you going to push? That's like
this is fair.
Kushida would have been nice. But who would you push as a top guy that can actually replace like the guys that might have to do? Longest?
I think they might have to do the Okada push again with one of these young lions that we like. Honestly, like
the big
like a Rennerita or Yoya or just I don't know, just fucking like this is it. This is him. Get used to him.
Yeah, it's also like look, it's worth saying, and I know this comes across as like. A critique, but honestly, I mean it sincerely. Like, Gedo has been booking for like what are we looking at now?
Oh, I don't even want to. At least, I think.
And like, look, Mike's right.
This is at least on a 10 straight.
Shingo, Ospreay, Ibushi, Evil all won their first world title. He's right. There's some fresh names. It's just I think it's hard to displace those like, kind of cornerstone guys. So it feels like you've explored it all. So. He's right though. I mean, I'm not the expert.
Shingo's how old Shingo now?
Yeah, he's kind of new to.
I was as happy as anyone with his world title run. I thought it was fucking fantastic. But he's not like this is where the promotion's going. Ospreay, of course, is an interesting one. Ibushi.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
And obviously Evil was.
Sorry to hear that.
There you go. So,
yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't be mad. Like that. What I just suggested, I genuinely wouldn't be overly mad at if they just went fucking all in on Rennerita or something. Wouldn't.
They might do it. I mean, they're prone. Use the Okada comparison. That's the one. That's the perfect example. Look at Jay White. Fuck, we were just talking about Jay White. Jay White came back from his excursion. He was like a just bland babyface in Ring of Honor. And he came back as Switchblade and had all. He was a knife pervert and all that stuff. So.
What about they never. It seems like they're never going to do it and put Hiromu in the heavyweight division, but that could be interesting.
That'd be interesting. I wanted that when Evil won it. He challenged Evil Fat Belt, and I was like, kind of tempted by the idea if that's what you do, you just say fuck it and let Hiromu go.
He's just really like cool and fun.
He is, yeah,
good.
Yeah.
He's just really good.
Yeah, he has an energy that I think. I'll be honest. I think sometimes he's lacking from some of the other guys. Like listen, man, Sonata. I'm sure there's something there. I've never figured it out. I don't know. I don't know where I'm at on Sonata.
What are you talking as an overall package or
as a professional? When the bell rings in a Sonata match, it's like I know how talented he is. There's never any semblance of like feeling to his work to me. And that's why I bring him up, because someone like Hiromu to me wrestles with an energy that I think actually a few of the other guys could learn from. Because, Sonata and Ospreay was good because they just did moves. How long did they go?
Yeah,
15? Less than that? They didn't go long.
No, it did go over 15, but just over.
Well, there you go. It flew by. It was really good.
I remember the announcements.
Because I know Sonata at one point, if you remember when he first came in, he was like one of the guys people penciled in as like, he might be up next, because he has such a cool look. Now it's less so. But
people like you want to is as well. You see when he's in big matches and stuff against somebody who's like above him in the pecking order, he's always very over. And he's interesting. How over he is and his push and everything is kind of interesting because it seems stop-start sometimes as well with him.
Yeah.
I think the matches with Okada are great, but what does that really mean?
Yeah, and they're also.
I definitely understand your criticisms 100%. I think he's You
He
know.
just leaves me hollow. He's the same. Like there's an emptiness to it, man. You know. Like, I don't feel there's a great degree of. And again, you're right. He's over huge, and he has a certain star presence, which is why he frustrates me because it feels like he could be a bigger deal. He very much is a guy who is like going through the motions to me a lot, which is a bummer because that's like the worst. Like for someone that can do the stuff he can do, it's kind of a shame.
Yeah. Like you
He
said,
like
like you watch him, you know he's good, but it's
yeah,
like he can be frustrating in the senses that you mentioned. Definitely, he's like I said, he's had great matches with Okada, but what does that mean?
yeah, yeah.
He
And
needs.
they also were very. They were great examples of that like house style being stretched to its limits. Like not all of those matches needed to go as long as they often did. Those Okada Sonata matches where they would just inexplicably go 40 minutes and 35 minutes. It's like not every time. I mean, that's just me. Maybe I'm being an old stickler in that regard, but that's just my belief on it. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I'm sure people disagree. I mean, he's very, very popular, as you said. It's just in the ring. I always think there's something missing. Can't my
What do you
finger on it.
think of Ospreay being the IWGP US champion with no belt?
I thought he was just tremendous on that show. I mean, he's like post match and pre match stuff about the belt was like actually good in a way that I'll be honest, I don't find a lot of his like character, whatever the fuck that means, stuff to be. But he actually popped me when he was like, because it was fair, right? Like his gripe was real in this case. Like, where the fuck's the belt? He loses. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, he was great in that match. He's offensively, there's probably not a more spectacular wrestler in the world than Ospreay, right? If we're being real. Special in offensively. I mean, he's
Yeah.
great but on offense,
He does it with ease as well. It seems.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know when he does like the kick off flip off someone. It's like he does that so effortlessly. It's like, like I said, it seems like somewhat effortless. Some of these athletic feats that he achieves in these matches.
Yeah.
Like what was it, Sky Twister or whatever it was called?
That's outrageous. Yeah, that move's
like,
ridiculous.
what the fuck? Yeah, man. I wish, even though I was quite happy with the match on Friday, Rampage, I just wish they would have just let Ospreay kind of just fucking just let him loose on just a random episode of Rampage and just let him, you know.
It weren't the right debut.
I feel like the American audience still haven't like seen it.
Yeah, it
like,
weren't.
they don't really, you know. Obviously, there's a lot of us, especially a lot of people who watch this and are in here. But there is a lot of people in the US audience, WWE, AEW fans, Impact fans, whatever you want to call them, who have. They probably have no idea of the level of the actual levels. Like they probably see a few clips and see him doing flips and stuff and think, "Oh yeah, he's good." But when you actually see his full matches, when he's on as well, which is genuinely about 90% of the time,
Mm-hmm.
like even on his indie matches,
Yeah,
I've seen him have a 4.5-star match with Brian Cage, bro. Like this is what I'm saying. This is the guy we're talking about. So, I just hope that they do get more of that across over the next few weeks and at the pay-per-view.
It weren't the right debut for Ospreay. It was a really good match, and I was really happy for Aussie Open, who are a seriously good team and have been for a while.
Yeah.
But it weren't. If you're just looking at it from his particular lane, you could have done a more star debut week for Will Ospreay. I think that goes without saying. I mean, and it's a matter of priorities. If you needed that for this week, you need that.
You could have done Ospreay versus Trent and just let him go crazy.
I think they may do that. The question is, like, that isn't the match, right?
Yeah, but just as an introduction on TV on a Rampage, it would have been fine. But if they were going to do it at Forbidden Door, I'd be like, well, hold on.
It feels like they might be doing it. Am I crazy? Like, I'm not saying it
no,
will
definitely
happen,
not.
It feels like it could happen. It's a choice. I know. I'm just saying.
I really like Trent as well, so that's what makes it really difficult for me because I don't want to be like, oh, fucking Trent. But
who is Ospreay wrestling though? Like, this is what I'm trying to, because I mentioned on the show I did with Jacob on the Grin a minute ago, a couple of hours ago. I said when he wrestled Homicide on Strong, they had King on commentary, and I get obviously Homicide, but like That's kind of feels like he wasn't on that taping as a wrestler. He was just did that one commentary spot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I don't know if Eddie would lose
I
to
feel like
Ishii to
they
be in
might.
that.
Same with the Ring of Honor card that's coming up. They might book it like the last Ring of Honor card, man. Like, we've got Hiroshi Tanahashi versus John Moxley. We know how we're going to get to the All Atlantic Fatal 4-Way, so we know how that's going to play out. There'll be a storyline to the, Adam Cole, Jay White, Okada, Hangman stuff, I guess. And we'll see how that all plays out. I hope, I can't, at this point now, I'm kind of hoping they just book it like the last Ring of Honor show where they just fucking threw match graphics up and was like, this match is happening, and we just get we get Shingo versus fucking Kingston or something. You know what I mean? We just get crazy.
Unless the build
I
really
like that
bad.
idea, to be honest, where you just throw graphics up and just let people have fucking mental breakdowns on the internet. That's the way, man. Especially Forbidden Door, it kind of drives home the name again, like.
Yeah, because if people keep walking through it for the month before, by the time it gets around, it ain't all that special, really, is it? That's one thing I always consider. I said it to you, months back. Like, I don't know what the best way to build this show is. I don't think they necessarily know either. I think they're going to try and figure it out as they go. Like, clearly, they can do these events once a year and sell out major buildings every year because people love the idea of
the talent alone. Just
but what's the best way to do it on TV? I don't necessarily know. I think they're going to try and figure that out in the coming months to years.
Maybe it's the way they're doing it. It's just that the execution of some of the angles is maybe it leaves a little bit to be desired. Like you have your main storylines going into it, and the rest might just be here's the match graphic. This match is happening.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's probably I think. Off the top of my head, not thinking about it for anything longer than like 90 seconds. I think that's probably the way I'd go. Is like I'd have a couple storylines, big ones, or with my top stars. Then the rest of the show, I'd just fantasy book it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I hope the final card looks like the way we want it to look. Like not
There's
even.
Too many.
I
don't think it's possible. There's too many people I want having Shingo. he's on the brain, but there's too many people I want having singles matches. I want Shingo, Ospreay, Kingston, Ishii, Jay White, Okada, Tana. Obviously, Hangman, Moxley. Obviously, Moxley's already having one. Danielson. I want Danielson versus LSJ at this point, to be honest. There's loads of people. I'd love that. Imagine if Andrade got a singles match on it or Pac or.
Feels like that's what. I mean? This is the thing is, I've never thought it would be. Never. I think it will be 3 or 4 multi-man tags and then like the key matches that we've been talking about. But in my heart, I've always felt that with that branding and a big time pay-per-view at United Center, it would be really cool if they just did a card of like actual singles matches, actual 2-on-2 tag matches, like. And I know why, and I get the whole movement, but like, it's called Forbidden Door. It's in one of the most iconic arenas in the sporting world. I don't want it to feel like, this is basically what I'm saying. I don't want it to feel like a souped up version of Ring of Honor's War of the Worlds, but with more fans. Like, I wanted it to feel like a fever dream. That's on me. To be clear, right? That's my expectations. There was not any words Tony Khan.
They might be able to still hit it home,
and they could still do it. And
Danielson versus LSJ. Someone said, like, definitely, I think it's definitely a thing that's happening. Like that, genuinely will feel like it. But
that will feel like it, yes. Moxley Tanahashi, we've defended that isn't their. That match is going to be awesome. It isn't their fault. Punk got injured. That's life, right? Is what it is.
Kingston versus a lot of them will feel like would be like that as well. To be honest,
him and Ospreay would actually be like unbelievable.
Yeah, like, imagine Ospreay being a phenomenal fucking professional.
Like imagine in front of like a Chicago crowd where like Ospreay's being a heel and like being a big old dick and
a flippy fucking dude, and Eddie's just punching him and
brother. if you did a Jay White Eddie Kingston program in the United States for the big gold,
set out arenas in the South, that would.
Could you fucking imagine how evil he would be in that feud? Just being mean and like, God, it'd be incredible. Yeah, I don't know.
Body shaming him and everything.
Oh, it'd be brutal, man.
It'd be horrible.
He'd be like going over to him with like a Bullet Club vest, being like, you can figure it out. You could put a real star like Chase Owens, like Kingston's like. Because Kingston for a shoot fucking hates Bullet Club. Like not the people in it, but like the idea of it, he absolutely, definitely despises that. So yeah. Anyway, that's another thing for another day. Say that for your call, brother. Make a note. No, let's get back to Dominion. The machine gun, Carl Anderson's back, brother. Bright Lights machine gun.
He's actually the funny thing is he's actually back.
Yeah, he's back.
He really is.
He's back.
He's back. Whether people like it or not, he was going through the motions for the past however many years. Just collecting checks, doing talking shop, collecting checks, just doing his thing. And what Joe said, the machine gun is now back. What's the date? The date is
it's the 12th for another minute for us, brother.
12th of June 2022. However many years from the day he left. Machine gun's back.
9.
He's back.
I was actually really
back like Punk.
Bro, I was in all seriousness, I was really happy for the dude because
same, to be honest. I like him, man. I think that's obvious, but yeah.
I don't know how much he talks about. I don't listen to Talking Shop as close as I once did, but I think with all the things out in his career, he went through it more than like probably he would let on. Like he kind of alluded to it a couple of times in interviews. Like when he talks about when he got released from WWE, like how much that did fuck him up. Cole was like,
they won a lot of money. It'd fuck anyone up.
Here's the other thing too. People don't realize, like him and Gallows, people think of one as the same. Gallows is a dude. He's been through everything in wrestling, man. Like, he's been released before. He's been in fucking aces and eights. He's done this. He's done that. So when they got released, Gallows was ready to go. What are we going to do next? Cole has had he was an indie guy. He got the shot to go to New Japan, and he just worked there for 8 years. And he became one of Ghetto's right-hand men. He was fucking borderline office when he worked there. Like, he was like one of the guys, So to just be thrown aside it really caught him off guard. And he's talked about it messed him up. He was like, he tells this story that's really kind of adds a human element to what we talk about releases and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about he walked out to his backyard and he was looking, his neighbors were looking at him. He's thinking, I bet they're looking at me thinking, look at this fucking loser just got fired. And he says it with a laugh. But you can tell he's being serious, man. He was fucked up by it. He caught him off guard. He thought he had a much stronger position in the promotion than he did. It's been a pretty rough 2 years to experience that, I'd imagine. And I know that they wanted to go back to Japan when the crowds could cheer. They waited that just isn't a thing yet. Hopefully soon, hopefully for the G1. But I would imagine, and hopefully he'll want to talk about it more than, he's his fucking life. But I'd imagine this was pretty fulfilling for him, man. Like, that's what he sees that as home, and it's a big building, and he wrestled someone that's been very important in his career and was his protege at one point. So he had a good match too. Cole looked good. So
he's a bigger deal there. We said it last time when they came back on the last pay per view. I keep mentioning the last pay per view, but it's all Bullet Club. It's all the whole Good Brothers coming back and Machine Gun's back. Or people. He's just a bigger deal there, man. He just is, especially as a single. But yeah, man. Yeah. It's good to see him back in what feels like it's weird that it's like the right place for him. I don't know.
It is because and this is always what was interesting about him was like he's very much like an NWA guy in terms of how he's trained.
Yeah.
And like his style. If you watch him and Tanahashi, their famous title match from New Beginning 2013, I think it is. 24 Bullet Club. That's basically an NWA title match from the 80s, but happening in fucking like Nagoya, Japan. Because Tanahashi's so Western. So he's very interested in that. What you say, I agree with totally, that he's, he feels at home there, but in many ways that doesn't feel like it should be the case. It's just how it's worked, right? They have a sort of respect for him, and he seems to work harder there because he respects them, which he said himself.
Bright lights. And the bright lights are on him, There's a Soccer Joe bright lights in the ceiling.
Beautiful building, man. That's one of the ones I'd like to go to. Wrestling bucket list. That's got to be up there for anyone.
It's got to be. Yeah, anyone who's like a fan of like Japanese pro wrestling, it's got to be.
Incredible building. Match over delivered. I hadn't seen Tama in this version of himself, but he seems like he's really doing good as a babyface. Seems like people like Tama Tonga as a babyface.
Yeah, they do.
Nice fire.
It's good for you.
Caught me off guard. I can't lie, bro. Caught me off guard.
It was definitely something to see, but I guess they're just doing it. But like I said, that's what I felt like when I said earlier. Like it felt like Cole probably shouldn't have won, but
Yeah,
because of the way it just, he's hot right now, man. The people like him. He's he's got a bit of fire about him. He's getting bigger, which
factual,
always indicates big portions.
factual. Um,
um,
do you think it was a bit of a kind of goodwill gesture in terms of we know Cole and Gallows have got a month left on their deals, and I think the belief is that that will be the end of their times in Impact Wrestling, and kind of just a gesture of like I don't think there's going to be a bidding war per se, but I think they're probably going to work in Japan pretty regularly, and this was a way of kind of cementing that. You're in safe hands when the time comes. Do we think there'll be like full time New Japan guys again when the deal's up? What do we expect?
yeah, probably. Especially
Yeah.
if they're doing, especially when with the way they're firing up the Bullet Club again. If their contracts any time, like you said, in the next 3 months, in 2 months' time, then it seems like a no brainer, really.
This is where Ring of Honor as a Tony Khan purchase intrigues me, in the sense that like I think it's pretty evident that AEW enjoyed having those guys around in the most hollow fashion possible, and they just find them fun company for the most part, which is why they just sort of live there for a few months. I'm not saying they're like a Ring of Honor ideal team, but if that show is going to be on TV and they run one TV tape in a month, it's nice to have some familiar faces, right? And if you want, if Tony
Yeah,
Khan likes having them around, it's like that's where it interests me. Ring of Honor, like, is there a place for him in AEW? Like, brother, they got like fucking 20 teams. I don't really think so. Ring of
well,
Honor that has no real roster right now. They're guys people know, right? Something to it.
it's hard. It's just so hard to say because we just don't know anything about
Right,
Ring of
of
Honor,
course.
except for they've got a pay per view coming up in Jonathan Gresham. Well, we know who the champions are.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
the Ring of Honor. I just want it to kind of be like a peak NXT cross old school Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
like old school Ring of Honor. With all the different exports and stuff coming in.
Mhm.
I think it could be really just fun and just like for the
Yeah.
nerds, Ring of
Yeah.
Honor, man. Like I want it to have that Ring of Honor feel. It's interesting to see how
Hopefully,
they go. Especially on the
next.
heel side. Because if Jay
Yes.
Lethal's your top heel, then
It immediately puts it at a certain level, right? Of just being like, all right, it'll be whatever. You need some. The next pay per view main event will be really interesting because I think you're going to get Joe and Lethal. Gresham's opponent will give you a good idea as to how big of a deal Tony wants it to be because he has, a lot of options, right? So if it's like,
Brian
you know,
Cage.
well, yeah, but, like I did actually. I kind of stumbled upon something that might be real, so I'll say this now because this is a grand, prestigious platform. The show is alleged to be, I forget where it is, but it's like close to where Frankie Kazarian trained. I think I would look for Frankie and Daniels to reunite and maybe wrestle FTR on that show. That feels like the kind of match they'll book on that show. Like kind of cool for like real big fucking nerds like me. But
Yeah,
not like an actual big match you're burning. That feels like the kind of
yeah,
thing
that's
they'll
what
do.
I mean, and just Takeshita versus anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, just pop the nerds, man. Pop the
Yeah, I'm with
nerds
it.
on there. Let's go.
I'm
Let's
with it.
go back to that old Ring of Honor, that old Ring of Honor deal. But these days, everything's a lot more easily accessible. um,
Hmm.
'Cause,
Yeah, TV makes it harder too, right? Like Gabe, bless his heart, he was doing fucking 4 hour shows every weekend, losing his mind, sweating bullets. It's different now. I mean, everything's TV now. It
Gabe
is.
losing his mind, fucking.
Throw an ashtray. Have you ever seen that one when Joe and Punk does through like there's like a big stack of ashtrays and he fucking swung them all from the wall? Oh, bless him. Trying his best, mate. He's trying his best. Now look at him.
A great mind.
He was. I mean,
Yeah,
great. He was up.
I like Gabe, man. I like Gabe. His tweets pop me now.
Yeah, in a very specific way, they are funny. Yes. I like when he does it. He seems to tweet like once a week. Like, I'm not going to tweet about wrestling anymore. and then he would just like pop himself with a round. The best one was when Joe debuted in Ring of Honor, and he was like, if they tell the story right, Joe and Punk will be the match that beats Raw. And it's like, well, come on, Gabe, what does that mean? I mean, it would be cool, but like, what does that mean? Like, what are they going to do? Like, $2 million for that match? It's like, how many people think bought those DVDs, brother? I mean, it ain't that big of a. It's a big deal. It ain't fucking.
You gotta think no, but like Samoa Joe, getting kind of his flowers with his, getting that contract with AEW. Yeah, I feel like he popped like you did, if not more.
Yes,
like,
more.
like he was like, he got emotional. Well, we all
remember
did.
they were just working together too. Remember, like when Joe was the last stretch there, Joe was working alongside Gabe. Gabe said as much. No, absolutely. It popped me the way he said it. I mean, I'm sure. By the way, to be clear, I'm sure it would do a good number, right? They're both top guys.
I think this is. See, Ring of Honor is just where Tony pops himself. That could be very good. Because he does that on Dynamite sometimes, exactly, where you can tell he's just popping himself, and like, usually it's just a great match.
Yeah.
So like, if he just uses Ring of Honor to pop himself, that would be honestly fine with me. And I know I joked about Brian Cage earlier. Someone said he should be the top heel in the chat. I won't go that far, but
he's very useful.
I was gonna say he could definitely be very useful as a an upper heel on that roster. I definitely think he should be a player. Because he can obviously look at him. He can actually. People pretend that he's like bad in the ring when he's like not, especially for someone that big. Like,
it's 1 hour of TV. You do a couple vignettes of him like just lifting weights. You have Tully Blanchard cut one promo for him, and he wrestles one big match a month. You do all of those things over each month. He'll be fine. He'll be better than fine. He'll probably greatly excel in the role. The issue is when you're on the AEW roster, you need some more kind of, ideally, not always, but ideally you need some more kind of strings to your bow, so to speak. So he lacks in some ways, but if you just book wrestling simply, he's a guy you heat up and he ultimately loses to your top guys, most likely. Like,
did you see that earlier?
Keshta would be a crazy match.
Did you see that earlier in the week? Gabe on his LinkedIn profile mentions that he moderated the Ring of Honor forums.
We need him back, man. We need him back.
There's definitely. This is what I mean. There's a lot of fucking people in wrestling who have no fucking right or idea what they're doing.
I agree.
People like Gabe who can, he's made his mistakes booking wise over the years. But, he's introduced us to some very cool shit. And, like I said, there's definitely words out there. It's like when people were doing, like Triple H has been like shut out the business by Vince now. Like, people like pretend that Triple H was like awful and just like.
It's like head coaches, man. Like, it's like, I know you're not an NBA fan, but like in the NBA,
you can relate it to football, any fucking team.
Yeah, football. NBA always uses it because the way that they're like, the way teams end in the NBA by going out in the playoffs is so tragic that every team but one feels like a loser, But like football is the same. Like the hardcore football fan thinks there's like 3 good managers in the world. like all of them are failures. I mean, like a select few who have made, and it's like wrestling bookers are the same. Like, Triple H, he did this wrong, did that wrong. I agree with all of that, but he had a good run, which is more than a lot of fucking bookers can say. Like, it's what it is.
It's more than like 95% of bookers with
it's also,
any sort of budget.
And this is what I've said this for the longest about AEW, and people get really defensive, and it isn't meant as a criticism. Good booking runs do not last forever, man. At some point, you lose your fucking mind.
Yeah, but you go through. I think it's all about the comeback, man. Like over the years, Vince had these dips over the years. Yeah. Obviously, this one is just being a plummet that has never bounced back. But back in the day, obviously back before our time, Joe. But I'm sure we both went back and watched it. WWE went through its dips, but Vince would always it'd always kind of like bounce back, and a new star would get made, or they'll do the Attitude Era like they did, and even the way that even just the Ruthless Aggression Era until they kind of made it all fucking PG, and that's kind of where it's been. So that's where it's kind of got weird over the past decade or so.
He's kind of more like GM, director of football too, Like there's I know people wrestlers always say if it gets on TV, Vince is for it. It's like no, I refuse that. Like, there's definitely shit Vince does not care enough about to discuss and to, like, he basically, the way that works is there's like 50 bookers that don't call themselves bookers and they like have to fight to get stuff on TV somehow, which would suggest that he's like really restrictive, even though terrible stuff makes it on TV.
Vince just pops himself, man. Oh, that's what he.
Some of
You
it's
see?
just
Did you
like,
see what Corey Graves said on that podcast about? He was obviously
absolutely
alluding.
not.
No, but it was a quote that would probably pop you. He was alluding. He was clear, in my opinion, anyway. He didn't directly say it, but he was obviously alluding to the Sasha Naomi walkout, and they were just talking about the mayhem of like live TV. And apparently Vince was just like, "Well, that's live TV for you, like just popping."
Yeah. See, if you right now, if you were doing a sports comp, Bruce Pritchard is actually the head coach. Vince is the GM, and Bruce has the biggest staff in history because he has like 40 assistant coaches.
I feel like WWE is like a really huge collaborative project, and
Yeah,
there isn't really. I don't really feel like anyone's like the head, except for what Vince says at the end of the day goes. Other than that, I don't know, man. Like, Bruce is like he's looking over Sean's shoulder as well with NXT now, isn't he? So.
They're not. I don't mean this in a snobby way, but this is where the thing about them not being like a wrestling promotion makes sense because they are more like a conglomerate. They're just like a machine.
It's like a big corporate. They're just
no
corporate. It's weird to see a wrestling company be corporate like they are.
There is no way anyone on their staff has been like, what main event have we got penciled in for TLC in December? Like, you asked that at Stanford, they were like, what the fuck are you talking about December for? That's Christmas, you piece of shit. We're in June. What's on Raw on Monday, you know?
Literally.
But, like, wrestling promotions traditionally, once upon a time, would absolutely, like, bro, Vince back in the day, they used to book Mania and then sit down and decide next year's, like, they'd pencil in next year's Mania card. Could you imagine that now?
I'm telling you, man, the monopoly thing is, I feel like that's a big factor when it comes to Vince because it's not like he's been kept on his toes because he hasn't had to be, you know. Like, people can talk about TNA, but like, what did Vince really have to do to combat that? Like, you know, TNA just kind of shot themselves in the head.
TNA is fucking incredible, man.
It's a story.
They're 20 years old this week, right? 20.
Are they?
Bro, they were June 2002. They're 20 years old this week. That's incredible, man. I mean, not like whether good or bad, decide, but that's nuts. It's they're a really interesting story.
They've gone through so much in that time. You know, like different looks and shit, and
so many reboots. So many reboots. Like, and actually, it's one of the more interesting things Jeff talks about in My World. Is like, he talks about how much they fucked up the Impact Wrestling like rebrand. He is so right about that. Like, you know, in our bubble, everyone just knows, well, that became Impact Wrestling. They absolutely burnt a brand they'd built there. Like, TNA is not a good name, but it was your name at that point. They should just start. I mean, not that it makes any difference in the grand scheme of things, but I definitely think it's a problem for them. Like, when they did a TNA revival show, they got more interest. People fuck with that brand for some reason.
Because it's just like, it's just like a lot of the WWE fans, I think, as well, that like kind of, you know, popped into TNA and that back in the day. So people who aren't tapped in, like, genuinely probably think like, what happened to TNA? Like,
I think people that work there think that, to be fair. You know? People
in the chat saying TNA is older than them. But
yeah, well, there you go. I mean, it's an interesting story. A lot of great wrestlers went through there. A lot of guys made good livings there. So God bless them, right? Thankfully, they exist.
It's provided, you know.
Yeah, but it is hard not to, you know. But that's the positive outlook. But once you go like an inch beyond the surface, it's like, man, feels like this could have been something different, right? Feels like this could have been a player, and it never really got there. In truth, I mean, I'm not trying to disparage the promotion's history. It is what it is.
Didn't. They just made. There's a few decisions that, you know, a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
It's they're definitely an interesting case study, I guess. But you know, the rise and fall of TNA / Impact.
What's the like height of the rise? What's the
peak?
Yeah. Yes, that's the phrase. Thanks.
For
Is
me
this everyone
personally,
disagree? Everyone disagree.
for me personally, it's definitely Kurt Angle,
Right.
headbutting
So
Samoa Joe.
that is October 2006. Right. A lot of people say that answer. That's a very common answer. Other people
Peak as a
say
moment, but I don't know him booking wise.
Russo comes back like immediately after that. Because that's the one
The
thing that's big.
headbutt heard around the world.
That fucking rules. Do you remember when they redid it on Raw? Do you remember that? They recreated it. They in Kurt's retirement run, they did a headbutt spot when he was with Joe. They had a like really rough match. They fell over a few times and stuff. Fucking ruled. Most people say Kurt and Joe. The one thing that I always think people forget, and Jeff himself has forgotten this, is people do that thing right where they go, TNA was fucking rocking, and then Eric Bischoff came in, and it's like,
No, he didn't
go
happen at
back and
first.
But like, go back and read like what people said about TNA in like 08 and 09. Like, it was the perception wasn't they were like rocking and rolling and doing this great. Like they were like nerds like us. The people that were doing what we're doing now then were not in on that product at all. Like I think there's this misconception that like they were this great promotion and then Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan fucked it up. Like look, they fucked it up.
Did
But
TNA didn't really ever have like they might have had a good year or something, but did they ever really have like a sustained?
not artistically, no. Not where like critics were like they had this weird run where, and if you look up the Observer Awards, I think this is backed. For whatever reason, in 2012, they just got like good. I don't think they knew how they did it. Like Bobby Roode was their like top heel. Austin Aries got over huge, and they had like AJ and Kurt Angle were a tag team, which is unbelievable. And like it got really good, and I think they won Best Weekly TV Show. And then the Aces and Eights angle got rolling. They won the Worst Weekly TV Show in 2013. Like they had this run in the summer, but other than that, it's very thin. Like I agree with Brandon about 0506. I think it was pretty well liked. I definitely think there were some like hardcore fans. This is before my time, but there were definitely some hardcore fans
Russo slander.
There were definitely some who critiqued it based on what it wasn't compared to Ring of Honor. But when 2007 gets rolling and Russo's rocking, you know, that stuff is not critically foolproof, so to speak. You know, that stuff's mostly considered bad at the time. But
he's incredible, isn't he? That Russo fella.
Piece of shit.
It's one word to describe him anyway. But
he comes out with some stuff, man. That dude's. He's unbelievable.
Only wrestling could produce like character like that. Then like he was also involved in undeniably one of the greatest times in wrestling, and it's just like it's.
But he's like one of those guys who's like he obviously did some good writing in WWF. Like the Deadly Games thing is like really good, obviously. But I often do like when you hear him talk about the Attitude, and when you hear WWF talk about it, honestly, and they talk about like it's edgy, and it's like. How much of the Attitude was actually fact they just had fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, and like they've convinced themselves.
Riding a wave. That's what I guess. That's what you hope for with a big star, like as a promoter. So WCW done it as well. It's just like you hit a stride and momentum just kind of carries you, and as long as you have Stone Cold stunnering someone in the main event angle or match, and you're fine.
Like retroactively,
if you grab a great mid card, geeks like us in 20 years time will fucking romanticize about it and stuff. But at the end of the day, to get the numbers, as long as you
strokes,
I mean,
it's and the reason I say that is I think retroactively they've kind of like they've decided it was the system, right? Like we embraced edginess and we did this and we did that. It's like I don't know, man. I think Steve Austin got over, and you were smart enough to just let him run with it. And then luckily, when he fell down, Rock was there to pick that ball and keep man.
I guess the thing with the Attitude Era was that with the way I know he was already starting to get over pre-Attitude Era, like Austin being a top star in that previous environment, maybe it would have worked because Austin was kind of just undeniable. But I don't know if it would have worked quite the same. No, like the chaos of just the Attitude Era, like just really just like complemented what Austin was. So definitely definitely is more just you come across these guys, whether it's Hogan, whether it's Austin, whether it's Rock, whether it's Cena, whether it's whatever, then you do some good shit with them and you hit a stride and get some momentum going, and people will call most of your stuff good as long as they get the big
get what
pop
they
from the
want.
big
Yeah.
names, don't they? Yeah, as long as you give them what they
The
want.
thing
Then
that's
fine.
most interesting about Russo's like media rebrand is his take on everything is like, casual fans don't like wrestling. They want like stories and what does this mean to the casual fan? Like, a lot of those grifters do that stuff, and it's like Russo literally became infamous for as soon as he wasn't in WWF, he was actively writing for online fans. Like his WCW stuff is literally exclusively him doing like inside baseball about like politicking and the old guys won't do jobs and like because he was actually one of the first guys that was so online that he wrote for the hardcore fan, and now he's done this like career rebrand where he pretend that was all he ever did. That was what he was into. Like, I mean, even in TNA, the main event mafia thing was like a better version of what they did with the Millionaires Club in WCW, right? Like, that's who he is. He's way inside baseball. He's shit ain't for casual fans. He shit makes no sense to casual fans, but he has his group of loyal followers who are convinced he actually was a genius and just had some bad luck along the way. I'm sure
It's
it's
more.
fine.
It's more literally the opposite, isn't it? Where
Yes, it's some good luck.
like quite literally the opposite.
He's a complete buffoon who had some good
I
luck.
don't, yeah. I don't hate him, to be honest, but I'm one of the fans that like pops for like just the idiocy of it.
Yeah.
And that's the same with most fucking of these people that most people hate.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to get pops out of them. But yeah, man, good old Russo. How did we get there? Impact. How did we get there?
Slammiversary this weekend, I'm gutted. I'm on holiday. I can't watch it. Can't review it, man.
You could have added it to your long list of reviews everybody was waiting for, like your NWA review that you done on Twitter earlier.
Got another one tomorrow, brother. I'm going to do the video review. Always Ready. Go to latenightgrin.com if you want to hear about Always Ready. It's going to be the best title I've ever done on YouTube. New Japan, Dominion, and NWA Always Ready reviews. It goes together easy, right?
What actually enticed you into the show, Homicide?
It's fucking wrestling, man. Scraps.
Somewhat.
I like, this about me. I'm not I'm not an expert on anything, but I know nothing about Puro. I don't know I know nothing about Lucha Libre. The thing I enjoy is television wrestling as a concept. I find it interesting. I think very few people are good at it, but I think it's a very interesting concept. So I try to keep my eye on the US promotions because they are, by US promotions I mean the ones that run TV. They're not actually really wrestling promotions. We're being honest. They do one show every 2 months and tape TV and do that. I've never been a big indie wrestling guy, but I'm always somewhat aware of what's going on TVs. Like, I watch fucking MLW pretty regularly. I was going to
say it's like, well, yeah. Until you got blocked by our good friend Court.
Yeah, I've never watched it again. That piece of shit.
He's no, I get if you're a television wrestling guy, I get how you can like. I don't know, man. I used to get my pops and thrills out of MLW. It's just not bad. You can't. I don't think you can say it's objectively bad wrestling TV at all.
Like,
no,
I think he's pretty good at it. I think
Cole's
actually.
They do better battle royals than AEW.
Fair. NWA is
I thought, what's it called? They do a hot battle riot.
Battle riot.
The shit they know how to like, Court knows how to do himself a little battle royal,
The
knows how to shoot them. There's no weird fucking angles and shit that happen. As in camera angles, not actual angles.
I'm not
Speaking of which, there was weird angles as well in the battle royal.
I'm not commenting on it. I don't do that anymore. Well, I don't critique AEW anymore. I just say it's good and move on.
I'll post screenshots to your reactions on Wednesday.
That's fine, yeah. NWA interests me because it's the one promotion that I think there's a world in which I'd really like it, but they have like 2 wrestlers that I like because they're, bless them, they have no budget. You can tell that. Like, look at the free agents they get, dude. Like, they get they're starving down there. They're starving. I mean, the format of their TV pops me. It's very badly done because Corgan's a lunatic, but I don't know. Homicide is amazing though. Because he sometimes
he's a legend, bro. He's like an underappreciated legend.
He is,
it's people. A lot of people just don't know. Like I always say this about like I always say about the young fans, like I'm not 25, but
Yeah,
you know, this
old man.
is if you're a fan of old school Ring of Honor, then homicide's your guy, man. He just is. Like,
He
he's just
is. He is. I hope he gets a shot to
a lot of his
WrestleMania.
you know, what it is that he hasn't. He's got a lot of matches that have definitely aged well, but there's not as much as the other Ring of Honor guys from that time.
For
Do
sure,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? So it's
Very much a case of yet to be there kind of. And I say that as someone, again, we're too young, but I think we both dove deep enough and have such an adoration for that era that we kind of get it. Like if you watch, I mean, really, you only have to if you watch just the CCW angle and the way they weave him in and out and he saves Ring of Honor, that stuff's fucking. That's some of the best wrestling ever. I don't care. That really is. But he is a legend. Sometimes I see Homicide and I fear that he's finished, and then he does a
yeah,
performance like he did
yeah.
last night. You know, he
That's
kind of
what
looks
a lot of
back.
these. That's what I feel like these beat up legends do.
Yeah, bright
Like,
lights, bro.
yeah,
Bright lights.
they'll have a rough patch where they maybe wrestle too much in a short amount of space of time or something, and they'll get to
Yeah.
the end of that run, and it'll be like
Mm-hmm.
kind of sad to watch them like hobble around and stuff. But
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, give them rest up and smoke a joint or whatever the fuck to do, and they're off to the
This is
races,
why,
man. We're back.
seriously, and I'm not doing the like wrestling is good thing because that's lame. But this is why you do need a lot of promotions, and like as much as it's fucking like NWA is not interesting at all, and like if it went away tomorrow, most people's reaction would be, "Well, that makes sense. How was it alive for the last year?" But this is why multiple promotions is fun because you can just get like you can get some little gems in there. Like Colby Carino wrestling
There's-
Homicide for like the
yeah,
NWA light heavyweight title. I'm sorry, man. That's fun.
running it back at the classic.
It's
Get
fun.
they could, there's a slight possibility they might get Chris Hero homicide, run that
Yeah,
back.
it's fun, you know. And I've
The
spoken to you about this a
IWA
lot.
classic.
This is veering in a different direction. Now. We're just talking. Apparently, we're talking for an hour and 20 minutes, right? But in all seriousness, and this is saying, this WrestlePurists is your baby, but you've been lucky enough to let me, look after it for a few nights. I think those of us with platforms, need to do a better job of talking about pro wrestling at large. And whether that means you're talking about lucha, whether you're talking about, the puro scene, and that goes beyond New Japan, which guys like myself have always failed at. We do a terrible job of that in wrestling media. Seriously, right? I mean, I'm the veteran around here in terms of that regard. But wrestling, while we can all agree that certain promotions are clearly the most interesting, there's something to be said for just having an eye on these other things.
Yeah, and just scouting.
Yeah, just looking around.
That was one of my favourite things about watching MLW when I used to watch it like a few years ago. So
Yeah.
just scouting and just just watching indies. It's just fun to scout and see how different companies do the TV and stuff. Like one of the things I used to love, you remember when you used to review all the TV? God bless you for doing it and having the time to do that.
Yeah. The writing's the hard
concept,
part,
the concept of that idea is something I'd love to do on the side. I think maybe the best. I don't know why we're planning this out live right now, but maybe the best way to do something like that is like you just designate one person to each show.
I agree. Yeah.
Then at the end of the week, you kind of just throw it all together. Then you all talk about the highlights together. And if there's a promo, you send it into a group chat or whatever. And just be like, "What's the promo of the week? What's the match of the week? Blah 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 blah."
Yeah, because the idea of that format is there's gonna be good stuff you find. Like there just is. And like to be clear, this is important. Like if you're watching this and your reaction is actually no, I want to watch 2 hours of wrestling a week, go fuck yourself. Oh how? You do like if you're watching wrestling, watch what you want to watch, obviously. Like don't fall. I'm talking about from our perspective as wrestling media. We do, like I get my dunks off. I love dunking on fucking Billy Corgan's clown show, but I still have an idea of what's going on because some good stuff might happen every once in a while. Like
Yeah.
it's interesting. I don't know. Hopefully,
there's always good talent in all of these promotions. It's just how important they are to the business, sort of thing. So NWA, their rosters absolutely suffered, but some of them are actually pretty good. It's just that they just don't have the notoriety or anything, or
definitely, yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
So it's just there's good shit everywhere, man. MLW, NWA, Impact. It's just like overall, they might not set you on
Well,
fire.
I mean,
But
look,
if we could do something where it's like, right, MLW Jacob Fatu had an absolute banger, just watch that or something. You know what I mean? Just give
yeah,
people highlights of like the best of the rest, as you said. So
yeah. No, I
I,
think so.
I,
And
like,
at
I,
least
like, I love that concept. It's just how do you pull it off without
exhausting people.
driving, like without
Yeah.
you trying to do it all by yourself and driving yourself insane.
I
Because that's a lot.
The other thing too is your approach of varieties could be different to mine. Like I like wrestling TV, but if you're like a match guy, Moxley wrestled Speedball last night on a show that was just on fire. It was the Revolver show, right? Like you can do there's so much shit that's just around. You just see different guys and it's interesting. I mean, it's again, if you're a fan, you watch what you want. But I don't know. That's my goal. When I'm back, I mean I've got a couple more days here until I go away, but I really want to get back to a sweet spot when I first started distraction stuff of just fucking watching and just not paying attention to everything like a insane person, but just having an awareness and widening these conversations and just talking like, what do you think of this guy? Do you think he's any good? Well, this guy's fucking great. This guy's gonna be the next guy, and it's like to me that's the fun of this. I mean, I don't have any sources, money. I know you have many, but I don't have any, and I like talking about who's good and who's not in my view, and then people disagree, and we talk about pro wrestling.
That's what it's supposed to be, man. It's break it down, analyze, be nerds, just enjoy it. Same way you do with any other sport. It's just that criticism in wrestling is just a bit, it's a bit touch and go, I guess. But it just is what it is. I think before we finish as well, I kind of want to talk about Paige.
That's fine. Let's do it.
I think she has. I think there could be a place for her. I don't think she needs to get back in the ring either.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, she'd be a manager.
Her as a manager on AEW would be like a very smart play from them if they could get her for the right price.
Dude,
I can't imagine she was getting paid through the nose by WWE to be sat at home on her last few years of a contract. So, I think it would be a very smart decision to get someone like her on board because she's recognizable, especially over here.
She's a big deal, man. I was telling
she legit is. Like, obviously, it's easy to forget because she's been away for 5 years or however long it is. But and she wasn't like, oh my god, she had that 5-star match with whoever. You know what I mean? It's not like you go back and rewatch her matches and stuff. But she was
she's a big star.
Big deal, big star, recognizable name. She can talk, which wasn't always the case in the WWE run, but she can now. She's obviously matured a lot. She's got a story to tell. Definitely.
That's the key. Like if she's good to go, and it's a big if because I know she isn't cleared yet, but like if she can get cleared and you tell her story properly, that'd be really moving stuff, I think.
Lines outside the cinemas.
Well, I will say I did see her a couple of times on like national media.
Not like this morning.
She was on the One Show at one point. I don't think she did this morning, but she was on the One Show. And if you get on the One Show, that's Monty and I's dream this week. We get a segment on the One Show where we review SmackDown.
Yeah. You see her on 8 out of 10 cats or something.
Yeah. She's. I'm not saying she's like famous, but she's definitely like somewhat recognizable. She'd be the person they have to all the media in the UK. Her and
especially for wrestlers these days, bro. Like, I'm not one of those guys who's like the business is dead. There's no stars anymore. But
yeah,
in this day and age, to the wider audience at least, Paige is Paige definitely. That name's got value, man. Well, not necessarily just her. Obviously, Paige is a WWE thing. She'll be Soraya now, but yeah, man, I think she could be a smart signing for the right price and the right role in the company. Because I honestly, in ring, even though she's a big star, and it's like where would she fit in AEW? It's tough because they already, I've got my heavy criticisms in that division, but it's like, you can always do with more stars, but it's just awkward to book them in sometimes.
Did you see some of the Marina Shafir Thunder Rosa drama?
What? I don't know, but you could be alluding to a number of things there.
Well, there's been some chatter that, the world's champion was not exactly playing ball with her opponent on Wednesday.
Yeah, there was I saw a few people talk about that.
Yeah,
so a few people talk about that. It got a bit weird, didn't it? In certain points, it didn't really get there, if that makes sense. But it was just like there was a bit of like clunky.
It was something, man.
I love Thunder Rosa, man, but I really did not like that match at all, man.
I think Thunder Rosa,
the crowd's reaction to it as well played a big part. Like it was just so lifeless. And
part of what makes Thunder Rosa awesome is that she kind of comes across like she's not cooperating, just beating the shit out of people, which fucking rules. But that's a double-edged. I mean, look, let's be real. When she's wrestling like a local on Dark, and she just like goes off, tell me that doesn't rule as a fan. Like that's incredible visual.
Yeah.
But when like they look like they were struggling in there, and there's some people that know wrestling much better than I do, who maybe even know the people involved better than I do, who said some stuff on social and was kind of alluding to the notion that, the champ was not too keen on making Marina Shafir her offense look good. There was, I know the suplex spot kind of went round again where Marina went suplex her and she just fucking landed on her head because she didn't go up for it. It was interesting, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't know shit about the in-ring nuance, but I will say that there was a couple of times they were looking at each other as if to say, what are we going to do here? It was interesting. That stuff doesn't happen on TV a lot, bro. It does not happen nowadays very often.
Yeah, not in this day and age. Not in especially in the days of the Monopoly. But
it's
did any matches catch your eye this week? I'm just looking at
wrestling matches.
Yeah,
I don't watch professional wrestling, money. Yeah, I think the what we got here this
week.
That
Rhea versus Liv versus Alexa versus Doudrop feels like this thing with wrestling and me, man. Like it feels like so long ago when stuff was literally like that MJF promo was like last week or whenever it was. Like it feels like it's 2021. Yeah. I don't know, man.
What was the best match this week? Was it Moxley and O'Reilly?
No, the best. Let's go with
in America. That is. I'd imagine. I don't know. Fuck it. I'd imagine there's been better stuff international I haven't seen. I have to really investigate. I'm looking at my notes now. I'm a professional, you see.
It probably is Mox versus O'Reilly, to be honest.
That match was great. It really was great, in all seriousness. I mean, I know you and I have our kind of slight concerns.
I mean, I guess you could argue Okada versus Jay, but don't know, man.
Yeah, I get your hesitation with that. I did like it more than you, I think, but
I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it.
Oh, you piece of shit! Do you want to know what happened last night?
I'll give you. What did I give you?
3.5.
Oh, nearly 3 3/4.
Do you want to know what happened on Saturday night's main event in Missouri?
Go ahead.
You sure? You didn't sound too excited. The Street Profits defeated Alpha Academy. Veer Mahan defeated Robert Roode. Ezekiel defeated Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh, that's not good.
Rey and Dominic Mysterio defeated The Miz and Theory. Street Fight, Bobby Lashley defeated MVP and Omos.
That sounds fucking incredible.
Alexa Bliss.
That's the sort of shit that if I was going to a live show and I saw that announced, I'd feel like.
Alexa Bliss defeated Nikki ASH. Riddle defeated Factual.
Everyone wanted the.
I know. Yeah,
the great reunion. What happened, Joe?
I'm sure it was good.
What happened?
Riddle defeated Seth Rollins, and Bianca Belair defeated Becky Lynch and Asuka.
Oh, Mo Bailey versus Takeshita was apparently insane. I was watching. Yeah, Shoot was watching it on the group. Okay. There was a point. There was like a 3-minute stretch, and it was even before he started actually reacting to it. You could just tell he was watching it. Mm-hmm. And he just because you could tell anyone who's watched either of them wrestle can imagine what a Takeshita versus Speedball match looks like.
You talk about offense, right? Yeah.
That's what I mean. Shoot was just there, wide-eyed, Oh my god!
Have you seen? I ask everyone this when I introduce myself. I ask them this. Have you seen Speedball versus Rod Strong from PWG?
I have not. I
Right.
haven't seen much PWG, to be honest. It
Yeah, a
never
lot of people
like.
haven't. That's one of the tape libraries that
Mm.
if they
Where would I
eventually
watch
wanted to.
PWG?
High Spots has their archives. I don't they have all of them. I think they might have most. High Spots is like, especially because you love shoot interview stuff. High Spots would probably pop you. There's a lot of shit on there, man. There's a lot. That's disgraceful. It's poor Tony.
I saw, yeah, I heard about that. Apparently, he did get injured.
Love
But,
to the Don.
yeah. We saw this as well.
There's a
That
match
was
that was something. My God.
people thought it was like on purpose, and it just did not come off that way at all to me.
Well, I think
it was
Will
like
was saying that it was like
Nakajima like slaps people very hard. It's what he does, and he done it this time, and accidentally, seemingly knocked him out. So
Akiyama was I think he was framing it as though it was a fuck up on Nakajima's part, but he may have just been protecting his guy. Right? I don't know if that's the real. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
it's hard it's hard, isn't it? Yeah, it's tough.
It's pretty tough though, being knocked out cold in a professional wrestling match. I'll try to avoid that. But you know, what do I know?
Yeah.
Listen, that shit could happen way more the way those dudes wrestle. God bless them. You know?
Especially
guys fucking hit each other really hard.
Yeah, bro.
Could happen a lot.
I was saying it to Murph in the chat, like, bro, the stuff is going to, with the way they go in their matches, like it's going to happen. Like something, luckily, he was knocked out, he woke up, he was fine in it, but there is going to be some scary moments in promotion that goes that hard, like even
sure.
Dave always moans about it whenever he talks about it, doesn't he? So
bless.
Like it's definitely a pop, but like when you realise like this, especially when with the schedules and that the way it's like,
yeah, that's the
getting the shit kicked out of them, literally.
Schedule's real. But as I was saying, Roddy Strong and Speedball Mike Bailey for the PWG World's title.
What year?
2015. It's one of the best matches of that decade. Promise. Unbelievable.
Okay.
One of the most insane Rod Strong performances. That year is his best year. 2015 Roddy Strong is like one of the greatest wrestlers that ever lived.
The worst thing is, I do like agree. It's just like it's the conviction and the way you look down at the effect. It was.
I know what I'm talking about. I've got my
one of the best matches of the decade.
Hey, listen. I know.
I've not seen it, and it definitely could be. And it sounds like something that could definitely just be incredible. But it's just like I said, like, the way you just came out with it.
Listen, I know Speedball's in right now, and everyone's really excited. But 2015, and he was just finding his way. Had some hype, and he got in there with one of the greatest workers of the generation.
Past 2 decades.
Yeah, and they produced magic together. Anyone in the chat that's seen it would vouch. No one in the chat has seen it, so no one will vouch. So I'll be proven correct. If you've never seen it, fine.
That's what we'll leave you with on this.
Yeah.
That's what you can take away from the podcast. Go watch Speedball Mike Bailey versus Rod Strong and PWG from sometime in 2015. You'll see a true veteran performance from someone who's still a veteran 7 years later, and helping kids learn how to do suplexes and
one of the kings of our sport.
We should get our the scoops during our chat. we should get him to ask about what is because we know it is reportedly asked for his release. Or is he just like being a pro? Is he just going to continue being a pro, or do you think he's like? But do you think he's like? Do you think he asks like every couple of weeks, like you know what I mean? Like, what did the lads in the office say about that release?
I don't know. I think he's pretty confident in the end. It'll, they'll get bored of this.
He'll be
fine.
He'll be fine. Like,
he's getting paid.
There's some people that get released with these WWE releases, where I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah,
kind of
he's
worry
got a
for him.
job waiting.
Even if I'm not a fan of them in ring or as a character on TV or anything, it's just like, you know, when the WWE get these people like, and they're just PC talent sort of thing, and they don't even really get a chance, they just get released like those. And it's like, okay, so what are they going to do now? Because it's not like they're going to get a bunch of indie bookings or anything like that. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. Hopefully, Rod Strong is chill. Seems it.
I reckon he's watching.
A true pros pro. You know, I think he is. To be honest. I think he's.
You know, Bright Lights Machine Gun.
Yes.
In many ways, Rod Strong is Dim Lights Messiah of the Backbreaker.
What is happening?
You don't need him bright, brother. Prefers him dim, you know. Give him fucking Reseda. Drop him in at Sam's Town.
I hope he like all pizza side. I do hope with Rod Strong that he's you know, that his list of matches and stuff holds up like a
it will.
You know,
like
a Malenko or something like that.
Yeah. He'll be fine. He's got so many classics. I'm telling you, he'll be fine. The only problem he might have...
People don't talk about them, that's the thing. You do.
Yeah, well.
Even though I'm one of his big fans, and I don't spread enough Rod Strong propaganda on the WrestlePurists platform, to be honest. I'm guilty of that. I'll do a little bit of it, which is more than the other website.
The thing is, when his peers talk about him, people realize how good he is. There's one concern I have. His peers may talk slightly less glowingly about him based on the fact that he beats the ever-loving shit out of them when he wrestles them. That could be a concern, you know. He may not be the most fun guy to wrestle, but I still think I think his peers will still put him over so much. People will realize. People will get it. I mean, he's, you know, the dude's fucking great. He's incredible. I mean, Andrew said, "Who would you like Roddy to work if you could drop him in at any time?" Like, come on, man. There's so many. That shows you how great he is. My brain goes all over the place. Imagine him wrestling fucking Ricky Steamboat, doing backbreakers and shit, and Ricky selling with his hands and fucking crying and stuff, getting the people.
Like peak Rey Mysterio or something.
Oh my god, that'd be disgusting.
That's what I'm saying. If I say peak Rey Mysterio, he was fucking incredible for like 2 decades straight.
Honestly, bro, do that match tomorrow, and that shit's great. That match would be great tomorrow. Like, Ray's still really good. So yeah, I don't know. Just anyone good, he'll have great matches with. Croaky boy, please do not cite the fact that that's not even the highest rated match on the show. That is propaganda. That is filth. I just called it one of the best matches of the decade. Ignore that cage match is wrong. Monty, somehow we talked for the last hour and 43 minutes. I think we reviewed Dominion at one point.
Some kind of. We didn't. I don't think we'd even talked about Tanahashi versus Goto.
It was good.
And I'll be honest. Like, if I was to review it, it would just be Tanahashi beat Goto. Like it was just.
They had that nice near fall on the roll up. The roll up near fall was good. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Are you a hater today on New Japan Pro Wrestling, the king of sports?
No. You know, Tanahashi's more goat, man. But you know, he just felt like, you know, it's not like they had time to really do anything, and it's not like they're gonna have an explosive spot fest. It's Tanahashi and Goto.
It does pop me that like
he just kind of beat him, innit? So
yeah, but like, you know, they have like hierarchy, like in the way the Japanese promotions book is like there's like an actual sense of who is actually the top guys. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants there to be like an arc with Go, and the point is like he's just not. Mm-hmm. He's just like a guy who's not good enough to beat top guys. Like, dude's walking out and Kevin Kelly goes, his record, I think his record was 2-11 against Tanahashi. And like,
and he was like, he said
someone on Twitter was like, you know, he read it out. Like, maybe they're going to do something like swerve us. And I'm like, no, the idea is he just loses to him.
Yeah, and they even said they even said it with the crowd. I can't remember if it was Chris or Kevin. And they were just like, you know, there was one point in 2007 when the crowd was actually on Goto's side versus Tanahashi or something like that. Okay.
This is what it is, man. Like, he's, you know, not every guy can be the best, right? He's just a guy. Very good wrestler, to be clear. I'm not talking about the wrestler, I'm talking about the way.
Great wrestler. Yeah. Great wrestler.
The match was good.
So it was just a solid match that happened, but you know, other than that, I think we did review Dominion. We spoke about Paige a little bit. We didn't really talk about any news, but it's Sunday.
Talked about Vince Russo.
Yeah, we spoke
Roderick
about the
Strong.
important things like Roderick Strong, and to leave it with you again, Roderick Strong versus Speedball Mark Bailey, PWG 2015. Rod Strong is a timeless,
Factual.
fantastic technician, backbreaker, messiah,
Yeah.
etc., etc.
Dim Lights King.
You're really gonna try run with that.
I am, yeah. Sounds like a t-shirt.
Okay. You know what? I'll jump on it with you.
All right, we'll try.
I'll await the tweet. But with that, we'll leave you, and we'll see you next week. Joe might get on early in the week, but he's going on holiday, so I don't know how that'll work.
Got to take some business meetings, you know.
We can't talk about them.
Some forbidden doors to walk through.
No. We'll leave you with that. Joe's going away on business.
Factual.
Please like and subscribe. I don't think I've said that yet on this show. So if you're still here, please leave us a like. Please subscribe. And next week, people. I think that's it.
Bye.